because you were born different, men will fear you. You have power beyond imagination. You must learn to conceal your special gear and harness your power until the time of the gathering.
What gathering?
Kurgan. He is the strongest of all the immortals. He is the perfect warrior. If he wins the prize, mortal man would suffer an eternity of darkness.
We will meet soon enough. I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Doors. Prepare for Prattle.
Puny Pod. Welcome to Prattle World. I'm your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan, and in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to another Puny Pod, a short-form podcast where I visit a specific film or comic book all by myself. And we're back in the world of the Highlander. Immortals, sword clashing, beheadings, all that good stuff, different time periods, whatever. But who wants to live forever? None of them, really, to be fair. But they must survive and go on till the time of the gathering. So we've been over... I'm not going to go too much into the Highlander story if you're not familiar with it already. I did that on the previous podcast for The American Dream, which is another prequel, as this is a prequel as well, to that very first Highlander film. Ignores everything else. Forget everything else after that first one. These are prequels. So this previous one was, and so is this. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So, first of all, this was published by Dynamite Entertainment, this particular comic. This is when they had the rights to the franchise. They did do a series that was based in the kind of the TV show timeline, wibbly-wobbly timeline with Connor and Duncan both being immortals and MacLeods and yeah, whatever. I've not seen the TV show. I've heard it's quite popular, but I've never partaken in that particular version of the character or anything. I'll be honest, I've seen Highlander 2 when I was a kid. I remember quite enjoying it, but again, I imagine if I go back, it probably wouldn't hold up as well. Never seen the third one, Sorcerer, something about a sorcerer or a wizard or something. Whatever that one's called. But the one with Mario Van Peebles, I've not seen that one. And I've not seen anything else. There was an animated series I saw when I was a kid. And recently I watched an anime called Search for Vengeance, which I do highly recommend. That's actually pretty cool. It's got some really great animation. I think the story's good. There's I think it's probably the best of the other Highlander things that have come out that I've at least partaken in, that's not fucking confusing for the most part. It's basically just another Scottish guy, another evil guy. He's got but it ends up going into, we see like Roman times and some other stuff, and it goes into the far future, and we see all the different time periods as well. So yeah, we checked that out. I think it was on YouTube. So that's Highlander: The Search for Vengeance, I believe. There is a shortened cut and a full cut. The shortened cut's maybe like 90 minutes, but I'd go for the full length one. You know, doesn't hurt that added 10 minutes. That's the one I watched. So give that a go. But I do recommend that. I think that is pretty sick. So very anime. You know, very much in that style. So if you're into anime, or maybe if you're not, but you really like the Highlander, the idea of that and that world, that universe, maybe just give it a try. Like I said, I think it was on YouTube that I watched it on. So go and check that out. Anyway, we're not talking about the Search for Vengeance. We're talking about Way of the Sword. So, as I said, it was published by Dynamite Entertainment and written by J.T. Krull and art by Carlos Rafael. So, with this one, it starts off with the Kurgan and Connor on the HMS Victory. So during the Napoleonic Wars, I believe that was, if I remember right, my history. So yes, Admiral Nelson's there and various other people, and they're having a sword battle as they do. Connor comments that he's a Scottish man fighting on the side of the English, which is kind of ironic to him in a way, given the history. And then what happens is Connor manages him to stab the Kurgan directly in the chest with Ramirez's Masamune sword, the one with the dragon hilt. It's kind of the katana from the films. If you've seen them, you'll recognise it. And then the cannonball strikes the is it the mast? I think it's the mast, and that falls down, splits the ship. Kurgan falls into the sea with the sword still in him. Connor considers going after him and getting the sword back, but he has to help another person on the ship because he's like, oh. And he doesn't even think about it. He doesn't even question what he should do. He goes and helps this guy who's injured. And Admiral Nelson says, yeah, you're a good man, you. And he's like, yeah, I think so. So years pass, years and years and years pass. And we go back to go forward to the 1960s. So Connor is under his Russell Nash persona, so the one we see in the film as well. And he's running the antique store. And a friend of his, an English guy, gets word in London that a specific sword, which is the Ramirez sword, surprise, surprise, is being auctioned off in Europe. So he contacts Nash. Obviously, he knows that he's been told to keep an eye out for anything that resembles this, or if there's anything on the black market, things like that. So he's found that, and so he goes to meet him, and they find out that it's in Paris, and I think they go into Italy as well, and it's an auction is going to be held it's a secret auction, and they've got to find out how to get in there, and he finally gets to the auction, but before that, he meets another immortal. He gets the buzz, as they call it, which is the intense kind of buzzing sensation when they sense another immortal nearby. So this is kind of one of the powers that I've learned about by reading the books and stuff like that. And it's kind of just it's a way of them to locate each other and then to fight if necessary. But yeah, there's this kind of buzzing in the air. And he meets this Frenchman who instantly is like, "You must die." He's like, "Oh, I thought I was the only one in the area, but seems like you're not. I'm not alone being an immortal." So Guerin Willard, he is a Frenchman, and he is basically they decide to have a duel, and they do so. But before they do so, it's implied that Guerin has killed Connor's friend, the Englishman, for no reason. However, it's a little bit of contention here from me. He is killed, and then Guerin says he didn't kill him. And then Connor's like, well, who did? And the main antagonist is basically said to have killed him, but not for any rhyme or reason. It's kind of implied. It's never said. The comic cuts from that question directly to the main antagonist, a character called Ren, a Japanese man. I'll go into him a bit later. But it kind of implies that he did it, but he never fully admits to it. So I don't know if maybe this was set up for another story, like there was somebody who was going around and murdering people for some reason, another immortal, was it the Kurgan, was it somebody else? But I don't think it ever gets resolved in the story. I did read this all in one sitting. It's very brisk read in a good way, but yeah, it never really gets resolved, that so I don't know if that was maybe a hint of, oh, there's another mystery here, or there's something else, but then even then, if Ren had said, oh, I killed him, I killed your friend, I'm not sure if he did, but if you guys read it, remind me. I've still got it. I'll look it up again, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't mention anything about killing the friend. But yeah, they go to the auction, and one of the characters from the film is there, and it is Sunda Castigier, who is in the film as well. So they're like, "Oh, Connor, how are you? What are you doing here?" And then we find out that the sword, the one thing that Connor was looking for, is not up for auction because it's already been bought by a person. And we find out this is a Japanese man, again, originally called Ren, but I think his name is Nakateya. And that's his alias, much like Russell Nash is for Connor McLeod. So we find that out, and obviously Connor is very keen to get this back because of what it means. It's linked to Ramirez, it's linked to the past, it's linked to his whole life, and that's kind of the main drive of this story, is to get the sword back. I don't know if I 100% buy that he wants this sword so badly. I kind of get it. He says that, the immortals are the only thing that lasts is steel. And these immortals, everything else fades away or disintegrates over time, but good steel will always remain, sort of thing. So it's like a constant reminder he's much like the steel and hardened over time and sharpened and can get dull, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of there's a lot of that. And during this as well, he falls in love with the organizer of the auction's sister, who I'm blanking on the name right now. She's an Italian lady, and he's all the way through this. He's like, I can't fall in love with you. I can't be with you. It'll only end in pain and suffering and heartache and all the way through. And he breaks his own rules, obviously, and falls in love with her. Standard. And she's very beautiful, so there you go. And we find out again that as Ren goes to pay for this sword, for the Masamune blade, that he kills the organizer, the woman's brother, and just takes it because he feels like he already owns this. And it turns out that this Ren character is actually the adopted son of Masamune, who created the blade for Ramirez as a wedding gift. And Ramirez says, you can't have just made this for me. That's such a gift. And he was like, no, I made it for my son. However, my adopted son is not worthy. He found him in basically the site of a massacre, hiding under the bodies. He'd survived the massacre because he's an immortal. And because of this, the things he'd seen, it disturbed him and twisted him all wrong in the worst possible ways. So Masamune says he does not deserve the blade because of that, but Ramirez is a good man and deserves the blade, and that's why he gives it to Ramirez and not to Ren. However, Ren is still alive and feels like he deserves to have this blade. It's his blade. It's his birthright, so to speak. And yeah, so Connor basically finds this out. The sister's upset. He breaks in, fights another guy, then fights Ren, discovers he's an immortal. I think he can kind of guess he's an immortal, but I guess by the buzzing, he would know. The buzz, as they call it. He would know he's an immortal anyway. So they battle, and he manages to get the sword off him with one swift blow, cuts off his hand and retrieves the sword, and he's got it back. Yay. But it's not the end of the story, because there's still another confrontation, the final confrontation between the two, which I won't spoil. Again, read it. I'm pretty sure you could probably guess what happens, but read it, see what you think, and yeah, let me know. I'll talk a little bit about so I can't help but compare this with The American Dream. Okay, so with The American Dream, we went through so many different time periods. There's so many kind of tangents and characters and stuff and relationships and things going on. This is really quite straightforward. It's just it's fun. It's good. I think Highlander fans will enjoy it. But it is very kind of by the numbers. There's not many kind of interesting bits. There's not much discussion or anything. It's just like, I need my sword back. I want my sword. And it does come across like that's the most important thing to him. Like, and I think American Dream got this better across with like Rachel, the idea of Rachel and everything like that, and her part in the story. And I thought that was a lot more interesting, and the way they talk about times changing as they drift through these different time periods, and they discuss the monk and Connor discuss things, and obviously the fashions change as well. With this, it's primarily in the 1960s. But it doesn't feel like it's in the 1960s. It feels like it could literally be any time period. It could be today. It could be the 90s. It could be the 80s. It doesn't matter. It kind of, everyone's just in suits. So I'm like, okay. It's got, I mean, in a way, I guess it doesn't age the artwork or age the book. But unfortunately, the idea of Highlander is that you have to show the age of things. Like, that's the point of being immortal. That's the point of the story. That's my favourite parts of Highlander, is where we get to see the different time periods. Personally, I think if they're going to do a new Highlander trilogy, they don't start the film with The Gathering. That's your like third film. If you're going to do a trilogy, don't start there. Just build up to that. So work your way from various time periods, have different adventures, go on, do different things that involve the Immortals, and then that way you can build up, and then that can be your finale, is The Gathering. And you know, that would be interesting if they did that. I know Henry Cavill's involved. But yeah, like it's just like Prey. Look at Prey. I said this about on my Predator podcast with the comics. I said the best idea is just set it in different time periods and different genres. Go crazy. Just throw the Predator anywhere. You know, in Stalingrad or in bloody Vietnam, or you know, do something with it like that. Like just play around with it. Who knows? You know, there's so much you could do with those potential, you know, timelines, and obviously it's more expensive to film and pay for, and but I just think that's key to this franchise, and I think that's one of the things I enjoy the most. And the flashbacks, like, again, like that was my main issue, is it was just kind of like, oh, 60s kind of, but it was never like in the other book. I got, every time they were in a different time period, they didn't need to tell me, because I could tell, and I don't think they did, if I remember rightly, because I could tell by the fashion, what they were talking about, the type of things they were discussing. There's none of that in this. It's basically just, I want my sword. I want my sword. Where is my sword? I need my sword. Yeah, but it got a bit one note, I think, a little bit. Again, there's a lot of the other stuff going on, but it's kind of just seems a bit, I don't know, a bit selfish, a bit grabby, a bit petty. I don't know. It was like, I want my sword back. You know, there's, you know, in the American Dream, there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more characters. You know, Rachel's importance in his life is fully explored, and here it really isn't. She's not even mentioned. She's literally not even mentioned. I think she's one of the most important characters in that film and in the franchise. You know, in the way that Connor looks at humanity, looks at people, and enjoys it. And I think it's kind of missed out. So I guess I kind of do prefer American Dream. I will say though, the artwork in this is fantastic. It's smooth. You've got full inks, real good colours as well. I'm forgetting the name of the colourist, unfortunately, but the artwork is superb. So if you could marry that story from American Dream, the artwork in this, because the artwork in American Dream is fine. It's a bit rough and ready, but yeah, there's something to it. I will say that there's definitely there's a uniqueness to it, and at least I will say, at least they, you know, he probably researched, you know, locales and fashions and stuff to give it that look. Like, unfortunately, this one, it just doesn't look like he did. But again, I think the artwork on the whole is better. It's more beautiful. It's more, there's a lot more to it. But yeah, I think I do still prefer American Dream if I had to pick one or the two to be the ultimate. If we did a Clone Wars comparison, I think Highlander, the American Dream, would win. What I did like, again, I did like the flashbacks. So we get a flashback to, obviously I said we were the Napoleonic Wars on the HMS Victory. Then we also get a flashback to how Kurgan loses the sword in the early 1917, I want to say. He lures a monk out with some prostitutes and kills them, and then he has sex with the prostitutes, and they nick his sword while he's asleep. So he didn't really give a fuck about it. But that's kind of the Kurgan's attitude, isn't it? He doesn't give a fuck about anything. And that's what I kind of like about him. He's just pure evil. I mean, apart from the rules about like holy ground and all that sort of stuff. But apart from that, I don't give a fuck. And I quite like the villainous, the really, really villainous aspect to him. But yeah, I like that. There's some really cool flashbacks with like Ramirez fighting the Kurgan in, I think it's Thermopylae or ancient Greece, basically. And Kurgan realizes the kind of the importance of good steel in these battles because his sword is broken. He's thrown off a cliff, basically, by Ramirez. So he's like, right, I've got to get me a decent sword. And that's where he gets obviously his big sword, his compartmental modular sword, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so there was that, and some other stuff. There's a bit more Ren flashbacks and some other things. I will say, I think American Dream uses, spoilers, the Kurgan very well. When he comes into it, it feels organic, it feels right. Obviously, he's only in flashbacks in this particular book, very brief. I could have done maybe with a little bit more Kurgan, because they didn't really flesh Ren out as much as I would have liked, or we didn't see much of his history. He's just like another jealous, petty child. So it's like, it is a bit like two boys like fighting over a toy or something. It does feel a little bit like that. But it's still fun. It's still got the sword fightings. It's still got the beheadings. It's still got the quickenings and the buzzes and a lot of the characters are referenced and the films are referenced. And I think some of the songs again are referenced as well. I think someone says it's kind of magic. I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure someone says that within the book. But yeah, give it a go. Let me know what you think as well. But I have to say, I think if you're going to buy a Highlander prequel, I would go with American Dream. I think it's just a little bit better. And this is not bad. By any stretch of the imagination, this is not bad. There's just stuff about it I just didn't get into as much. And I think because I read it so quickly as well, because there's not really as many flashbacks maybe as I'd like, or changes in time period as I'd like. I think again that's it's not utilizing what I think are the most interesting parts of the franchise, basically. But yeah, that's my review. So I'm glad you've enjoyed another Patreon exclusive puny pod. I'm gonna go back to Scarface next, so we're gonna do the Scarface prequel, and then I'll move on to something else. I promise. I'm enjoying these though. These are really fun to do. I hope you guys are enjoying them. I hope it makes you consider picking up some of these comic book and movie sequels to kind of find out how things turn out. Again, I'm looking forward to some of the ones I've got coming up, and I will let you know what's coming next after Scarface. So maybe I'll let you guys decide, like I do. So we'll do that, and we'll see what happens. But thanks again, guys. I know it's a short one, but it was a short book. I raced through it, finished it. But yeah, it's still fun. Like, it's not bad. I think if I'd give, like, if I had to do a starring system, I'd give this probably 3 stars, and then probably I'd give American Dream 4 stars. We'll say that. But yeah, generally really good. It's fun. You'll get everything you want from a Highlander book, I think, for the most part. I know, again, like I've mentioned, the stuff I really like about it I didn't really get. But if you're looking for mostly Connor McLeod chopping people's heads off, then you'll get exactly what you want. But yeah, it's not bad. But I just don't think it's quite as good as the American Dream. But there you go. That's my assessment. But it's been fun, again, digging into the Highlander verse, if you will, the immortal verse, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we will see you next time, because I'm going to live forever.